Hi, could we get everybody's attention again, please? Can we get everybody's attention real quick so we can start the program? You know, we love to have everybody out of here by 8:45. It's very important to us, and we assume it's very important to you. So I'd like to introduce a special speaker. I don't think he's on the program, but basically, you know, all of us at Boys and Girls Clubs of Boston, all the kids we get to see every day, and even those of you who are parents, the kids in your home, you know, if we instilled in them the resilience, the grit, and the passion to build community and the love of building community, all those things and so many other things, and the vision that Mayor Marty Walsh has, then all of us will be in great shape for generations to come. So, and Mayor Walsh is here, and he'd like to say a few words. He's an alum of our great friends at the Dorchester Clubs. And I'm going to have Mayor Walsh come up.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Josh. And I want to thank Josh for everything he does for our young people in the city of Boston. He does so much and stuff that no one even in this room knows about, and I want to thank you for that. I want to thank the board at the Boys and Girls Clubs of Boston. Thank you, all the board members. You know, to keep a club strong and vibrant, it's the people that serve around the board and people that step up and do different things. So I want to thank all the board members that are here tonight and all the board members of this great club. Thank you very much. We can clap for the board if you want. To Wick and Jeff, thank you for chairing tonight, but also thank you for everything you do in the city and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Two other wonderful people that do a lot. Greg, how are you, buddy? Two other people that do so much in our city. And as I look around the room, there's so many people in this room that I could actually name out for what you do quietly. And I want to thank you for all of the great stuff you do. And Wick, I don't want to say this, I know Josh and myself and a lot of us in this room took the other day pretty hard. But the game before that was pretty incredible. And just keep it up, will you please? All right? And as mayor, I've had the great honor to host in Boston 2 Super Bowl parades, and I love every minute of it because I love Josh's dad and his family. But I am looking forward to having a parade in June, so I'd love to, you know, maybe have a little parade. So let's keep that up too, all right? No pressure. Chief Willie Gross is here tonight from the Boston Police Department, and I want to thank Chief Gross as well and the men and women of the Boston Police Department because when you see the news or you watch something going on and there's a lot of talk around policing in the country and how tough it is, and you know, Chief Willie Gross is one of the people, the leaders in this country as far as working on police community relations with the young people. We do a lot of work to build that trust with the young people in the city, and Chief Gross is our leader there, and I want to thank the chief, and I want to thank the other people from the Boston Police Department that are here, the different offices, and I know there's other clubs represented here today, and I'd be willing to bet if you ask the club about the police district in their area, they're going to tell you they know exactly by name who the community service officers are, who the young officers are, who the gang unit is, because their job is not to arrest people. Their job is to try and create a pathway for young people, and it starts at the top. So thank you, Chief, for being here with us tonight. I want to thank the local musicians that are here. I want to thank the Yawkey Club Band, the Charlestown Club Band, the amazing talent that's here. To all the club members, the alumni, the staff, the leadership, the supporters, thank you for joining the celebration, and as well, thank you for being here tonight, particularly the staff. I mean, I know that I thank Josh, and you need good leadership. I thank the board, you need good board members. I thank the donors, you need great donors. What it comes down to is the staff. You need incredible staff to have a great organization. And this club over the last 125 years has grown in our city, expanded into 11 unique neighborhoods in the city in Chelsea, working on culture and diversity and traditions of our communities, and continually helping young people moving forward. I have notes here. I'm going to stop at these notes in a second. I'm going to stop right now. So I've had different roles in my life over the last bunch of years. 20 years ago, I got elected to the House of Representatives, and I served in the State House. And I was on the board of the Dorchester Boys and Girls Club, and I was on different boards. And now as mayor of the city of Boston, I often see firsthand the impacts of what the clubs can do to our young people across the city of Boston. At my swearing in January 1st, I didn't talk about violence that day. And the reason why I didn't talk about violence that day is because we need to start thinking, not talking about violence so young people see that there's negativity around them. We need to start talking more about positive influences in their life and opportunities in their life. And what the Boys and Girls Club does, thank you. What the Boys and Girls Club of Boston does is create that opportunity. They have far more successes coming out of their club that you won't even know. I saw a young man up here a minute ago interviewing Jeff and Wick, and I saw his poise at this microphone, and I'm not sure if he realized it, but he was interviewing two incredibly successful human beings that are incredible people to our city in so many different ways, and he was up here with poise. He gained that poise probably by going to the Boys and Girls Club and having a good, strong support. The donations that you give tonight, go a long way. It's about mentorship. It's about helping young people. It's about showing them the pathway. I can speak for myself. My road to being mayor wasn't a straight line. My road to being mayor was a very crooked line in some ways. I had great family support at home, but it was a crooked line. And if anyone in this room thinks about their own upbringing, whether you were born in Dorchester or you were born in Dover, there's challenges and obstacles that you have to overcome as a human being to get to where you are today. The young people that are served at this club need chances, need those breaks. So I ask you all tonight, before you leave here, just think about how you can do more things to help the young people at the club, or not just the club, any organization that you get involved with. But realize that this club here that we're celebrating tonight, for 125 years, has been putting young people on a pathway to success. In 125 years has literally changed the outlook for young people's lives because they walked through the doors of the club, wherever that was. They had an opportunity to meet a staff member, meet a mentor, meet a coach, meet somebody that had an impact on their life, that took their life from being maybe graduating high school and going to work construction to graduating high school and going to college, and having opportunities that they would never ever have if they didn't experience the club and what happens in those buildings. So I just want, as mayor of the city, we need to support this club. As mayor of the city, we need to support these programs. I didn't not talk about crime because I didn't want to address the issue. I didn't talk about crime because the young people that are here tonight from the club, they're not necessarily talking about crime. They're talking about what's going on in their neighborhoods, and we have to go into those neighborhoods and continue to put resources in those neighborhoods. But I did it because our young kids should be expecting more than picking up the newspaper or reading on TV or seeing something where a 15 or 16 or 17-year-old kid got shot. We need to end that. And the way we end that is by making sure we give a good, strong foundation to our young people through our educational system. And the way we end that is we continue to support the wonderful Boys and Girls Clubs of Boston so their 125-year legacy will continue on into the future. Thank you and have a great night.
For those of you who may not know, the club offers pretty much everything a young man like me might need while growing up. Since I started attending the club at the age of 6, I've taken full advantage of everything it has to offer. I learned how to swim, competed in basketball leagues, learned how to drive, was a part of the robotics team, and the club is also where I got my first paying job. Through the club, I even went on a week-long HBCU college tour, where I was able to see Howard University, which is one of my top college choices that I hope to attend in the fall. Being at the club has shaped me into the person I am today and helps lead me to a promising future. Our next guest is a club alum with similar feelings about her own club experiences. Please welcome Catalina.
Good evening. My name is Catalina Montoya, and this is not my first time at the stage of the Boys and Girls Club Boston Annual Dinner. 17 years ago, as a young member of the Jordan Boys and Girls Club in Chelsea, I stood in front of a crowd like tonight's. A lot has changed since then, but the influence the club has had on my life remains just as strong. I want to express my gratitude to everyone here for allowing me the honor of speaking here once again. The story shared in the funding raised tonight makes a difference in the communities that the Boys and Girls Club of Boston serve. My mother is here tonight, and I want to thank her for all her guidance and support that stands with my family tonight. Thank you. Without her love and support, I would not be where I am today. In 1986, at the age of 2, I immigrated to this country from Colombia with my mother and sister. When I first came to the United States, we moved to Chelsea. Growing up in a new city, let alone a new country, is not always easy. I'm sorry, lost my brain. While programs and opportunities exist to improve one's future are available, it is not always easy for youth, or for that matter, adults, to recognize and take advantage of these opportunities. With the help of the Jordan Boys and Girls Club in Chelsea, I was afforded the opportunity to join the club. I became a member and later got my first job with the club. I took advantage of as many extracurricular activities as I could. I was a part of the swim team, the basketball team, lifeguarding, and later became a part of the youth counseling group. Growing up in a single-parent home, where my mother was working long hours to support our family, it was important to have the safety and stability of the club after-school programs to keep me positively engaged in the community. The club promoted strength, critical thinking, poise, and the ability to work collaboratively, all qualities that I developed at the club and today still use as an oncology nurse at the Brigham and Women's Hospital. The Chelsea Boys and Girls Club provides a stable environment that promotes both the virtues of acceptance and tolerance in an atmosphere that is both engaging and caring. As a youth, I was bullied, and oftentimes I arrived at the club after a tough day at school. In those days, as today, the club was an area where not only I, but everyone knew that bullying was not accepted or tolerated. The club felt like a second family that had my back against bullies and supported me, guided me, and gave me strength to deal with the daily harassment of bullying. Constant bullying can have a prolonged negative effect on a young person's life. I'm sure we've all heard of the terrible stories of bullying gone too far. Children who withstood constant bullying and harassment each day with awful consequences. Thanks to the support of the club, I am not one of those stories. In addition to stability, the club provides an opportunity for many youths to excel academically. The Chelsea Boys and Girls Club was instrumental in my success in achieving the goals I had that I had set for myself. Through my involvement in the club, I was able to work with the mentors who helped me attain my goals of attending and graduating college. These individuals ensured that I was involved in the correct extracurricular activities, provided me after-school guidance, allowed me to become a youth counselor, and even assisted with the college application process, including understanding and breakdown of the financial aid process. Without the support of them and mentoring of the club, my academic journey would have been more arduous. When I was first approached about speaking here tonight, I was a little apprehensive about addressing such a large crowd. As you can see, I'm not a public speaker. I am not a natural public speaker, but I was actually quite nervous. But the more I thought about the purpose of tonight and the goals of the Boys and Girls Club of Boston, I was able to relax, knowing that the money raised will be reinvested in the community and result in positive stories like mine. Through tonight's event, the Boys and Girls Club of Boston will go on acting as a surrogate family for the youths of Greater Boston, providing support and guidance and opportunities for those who need it the most and will benefit the most. I want to thank everyone here tonight because the best way to invest in a community is to support your local Boys and Girls Club. Thank you, Joshua Kraft, for organizing tonight's event, and special thank you for the unnamed individuals who worked at the club while I was passing through. And thank you for everyone there making a positive influence tonight, now. I am now a mother, and the best endorsement I can bestow upon my daughter is to sign her up for the Boys and Girls Club when she's old enough. I know from my experience it will play a pivotal role in developing a well-intentioned and engaged young adult. Thank you again, and thank you to the Boys and Girls Club.
After hearing Catalina share her story, I look forward to my own future. In the future, I plan on studying business in college and possibly pursuing a career in wealth management, where I hope to be successful so I can give back to my community. So, in a couple of years, if you're looking for a manager, don't be afraid to Google my name. And ultimately, one day, I hope to become a BGCB chair of the board of directors, like our next speaker. I would now like to introduce BGCB's chairman of the board of directors, Bruce Jacobs.
Thanks, Drew, and thanks, Catalina. You two are shining examples of the great work this organization does. And thanks also to our dinner chairs, Jeff Leiden and Wick Grossbeck. We're so fortunate in the city to have champions for our community like the two of you, so thanks for being here. As Andrew mentioned, my name is Bruce Jacobs. I've been involved with the organization for about 15 years now, and currently as board chair. And I think Josh mentioned earlier, I grew up outside of Seattle, Washington as a Boys and Girls Club kid, so I got to know firsthand the great work that organizations like this do. If you're like me, if you have kids at home, you probably spend some of your time trying to help them appreciate all the opportunities that they have and to be thankful and appreciative for them. But at the same time, our city has, and we have at Boys and Girls Club, 17,000 kids in our city that don't take those privileges for granted, not because they're not appreciative, but it's because they don't have those opportunities. So they come to our clubs for a place to be safe and feel safe, to get help with their homework, to have a healthy meal, and as Josh mentioned, over 300,000 meals a year we serve. They come to bond with a mentor, to build character, and to find a path, no matter how difficult to navigate, to become responsible, caring, and contributing members of our society. Now, once in a while, they need a lot of help, and we have special programs and individuals who help them. But most of the time, they just need someone to believe in them, and that's exactly what our staff, over 300 strong, does each and every day. In fact, over 85% of our members say there's a staff member to whom they would turn in a crisis, which is an impressive statement. So many of you, I'm sure, coming in, were already well familiar with the Boys and Girls Clubs of Boston. For those of you who are not, I hope you have a good sense of what we're all about. I think Boston's a wonderful city. I'm a little biased. I've been here for over 20 years, but I think it's one of the greatest cities in the United States, if not in the country, or in the world. Those would be the same thing. But to be a great city, that doesn't happen by accident. It requires its companies, it requires its citizens and its politicians to be engaged in making the city a better place, not just for themselves, but for others as well. And I think when it comes to investing in others, there's no better place than to invest in a child. And I hope that what you'll appreciate as we've gone through this evening is the great work this organization does, but also that there's a lot more work for us to do. We're always striving to serve more kids. We're always striving to deepen the impact upon those we already serve, and those are our two big, significant goals. So, thank you. So, as I wrap up my brief remarks, I'll be in deep trouble with the development team if I don't mention that we have cards for those who feel inclined to make a contribution. You may all know this, but we charge $25 a year for kids to be members of our clubs, and frankly, we'll waive that if need be. But it costs the organization over $3,000 to serve each kid that's a member. And that's a gap that's funded by individuals and companies like all of you in this room, and for that we're very grateful. They make the great programs we do possible. So together we really choose to invest in the youth of Boston to strengthen our city. And to the extent you like using anniversaries as occasions for gifts, again, you heard about our 125th. So I hope you'll consider contributing tonight, but equally, if not more important, I'd encourage you to look for a way to get involved that fits with your time and with your interests. Go tour a club, volunteer, bring your children to engagement opportunities, of which there are many. But most of all, come visit a club and see the magic that takes place there and the smiles that are on our kids' faces. And I can assure you that it will be as fulfilling for you as it has been for me. So with those remarks, I thank you all again for being here, for all the support you give to this organization. And I will turn it back to the star of the show, Drew. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. I guess I am a star. Before I bring up my final speaker, I want to thank everyone in this room who makes me standing here possible. Starting going to the club at the age of 6, I would never think that I would be speaking in front of over 800 people. Because of you, you make things like this possible, not just for me, but even just in this room, my fellow interns, and also for kids across the club, through the many clubs. So thank you. This is a moment that I'll never forget. And thank you, and please welcome Derek Gallagher.
Give it up for Andrew, guys. Honestly, when I was his age, I was having a hard time talking to girls, and he's talking to 1,000 people in a room, so I respect him tremendously. Like Andrew said, my name is Derek Gallagher. I am currently the program director at the Charlestown Boys and Girls Club. I started as a club member at the Charlestown Boys and Girls Club 40 years ago when I was 6. So you math majors, I'm old. And I've been working at the Charlestown Boys and Girls Club, starting off as a junior staff for 28 years. So I have known nothing but the Boys and Girls Club. It's near and dear to me. It's actually near and dear to my family because my mother, Lois Gallagher, who some people might know, she's on the board here. She was the chair of the Charlestown board. She grew up as a club kid. And back in the 60s and 70s, there was a girls' club and a boys' club. My mother was in the girls' club. It was June 1963. It was the very last day. She was a junior staff and asked if she could bake some cupcakes. I said, knock yourself out, make some cupcakes. My father was in the boys' club, June 1963, the same day. Walked out. My father likes cupcakes. But what happened was, my mother I've heard the story 1,000 times and I still appreciate it. She's like, you know, there was no sparks, but he was a great man. They stayed friends. My mother went off to Woodstock. My father went to Vietnam. I showed up 2 years later. So do the math at Woodstock. It didn't work out. But no, honestly, it means a lot to myself, my family, the Boys and Girls Club. My brother's involved, my sister's involved, everyone, my friends, my aunts, my uncles. It's a community that I love. It's a community that appreciates the Boys and Girls Club. If you do know Charlestown, it's a very diverse town, and it stretches to both ends of how people live. We have the largest development in the state of Massachusetts, 100 yards away from the club one way. If you walk down another, we have another development with a few thousand people in it. And if you walk 100 yards the other way, we have $2 million condos. And that's how Charlestown is. All of those kids do come to our club. And the second they walk through those doors, they're club kids. Just like I am, just like Andrew is, just like Catalina was, you're a club kid. It's the same as going to Harvard or one of those Ivy League schools they wouldn't let me into. You're a part of something bigger than yourself. And still to this day, if I meet somebody from Roxbury, South Boston, Blue Hill Ave, Chelsea, it's not where you went to high school. It's like, did you go to the club? And if they did, you start reminiscing about playing ball hockey, playing basketball. Howie Bunkley, who taught me how to cook with Crisco when we were kids. It was, every Saturday the club smelled delicious. But that's what the club is. And there was a large, large group of alumni that in 125 years has come through our doors. And we're very lucky with that. A few months ago actually, and I'm not, I pick up the paper every day, I went to the Metro, and I look at the obituaries. And it's not because I like seeing death, but I look under Charlestown, and I look to see, you know, who it was that passed. Maybe I know them, maybe I have to go. But I also look at the very, very bottom in lieu of flowers, which became a thing a few years ago. People in lieu of flowers started donating to the Charlestown Boys and Girls Club. And some of the people I knew, some of them I didn't. Well, this one particular, it went all the way down, across, up, down. It was enormous. And I read it, and it was someone from California who worked at Xerox. It was a picture of a man who had medals all over him. He was a World War II hero. He flew 59 flights over Germany. The most successful life. When I kept on reading it going, I must know a name here. Something must pop up here. And there was nothing. So I went to Pete Nash, who's the executive director in Charlestown. I sat down, I said, Pete, we got this in lieu of flowers, but there was absolutely no connection there. There's no one even on the East Coast. So Pete said, I'll keep an eye out for it. He got a phone call from a woman, and she said, you know, do you have time to talk? My father, his name is, I had to write this down, I didn't want to mess up his name. His name's Ben Hurley. And she said, my father was Ben Hurley. She said, okay, that's great. She goes, we'd like to come out to the Charlestown Boys and Girls Club. We've never been there. And Pete asked, do you mind telling us, you know, how this happened? He was 92 years old. He never told his kids that he grew up in Boston or in Charlestown. He never told them about how poor he was when he was a kid. But on his deathbed in the hospital, he told his sons and daughters that all the money that is going to go in lieu of flowers, and this was a very successful man, I want it all to go to the Charlestown Boys and Girls Club. And they said, Dad, what's the Charlestown Boys and Girls Club? He said, well, when I was a kid, I had nothing. He said, I didn't have a pair of pants. The Boys and Girls Club gave me a pair of pants. And he said, they treated me with dignity and respect and made me the person I am today. All my success, and I never told, he said, I never told you this, goes back to the Charlestown Boys and Girls Club. And it was amazing. It was the most heartfelt story. The family came out, they got to see where their dad grew up and whatever. And that is what the Boys and Girls Club is honestly all about. 125 years of alumni who have come through this building, who care. Every director we've had over the years, everyone that I've ever interviewed, I say the same exact thing. I said, whatever decision you make as a worker of the Charlestown Boys and Girls Club, or the Boys and Girls Clubs of Boston, whether it be Roxbury, Blue Hill Ave, Chelsea, just know that people love this place. And you'll probably hear from them if you didn't make the right decision. But that's a good thing. That means if we're in need of something, or we need a favor to be cashed in, people are right there to help us. And I love that. And I appreciate everyone in this room. I can do my job. I can take kids on trips. I can make sure kids have computers to go to college. I can make sure they're getting scholarship money to chase their dreams. We can have top-notch, I know it sounds crazy, but top-notch basketballs. We can have a swim team that's going to nationals. We can have a great band that has fantastic instruments. That is all because of people like you in this room. And I appreciate it. My mom appreciates it. Our kids appreciate it. My staff appreciate it. And with that, I'm going to stop being long-winded, and I'm going to introduce, here's another little story, too. This is our Charlestown band. And throughout the years, there's been a boatload of Pearl Jam, Rolling Stones, Four Tops, you name it. All these bands with great names. We got our pool renovated, our building renovated a couple of years ago. And we had an old pool. It was a dank old pool, but they cut out where it said 6.5 feet deep, and they screwed it into the front of our performance center. And they practiced there every night. And they named their band 6.5 Feet Deep. So our music director, Anders Olsen, with the ukulele, he's fantastic at it, and 6.5 feet deep.
How's everybody doing tonight? So we're going to be doing the classic, sing along if you want to. And I'm really grateful for all of you guys donating the money for the clubs. We're also grateful and we're also happy that each and every one of you guys are contributing to our futures. So thank you again, as you've been hearing it all night. All right, now we start.
When the night has come, the land is dark, and the moon is the only
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Well, thank you all so much for being here tonight. We appreciate it and look forward to the next 125 years.